So if you haven't seen the Labour Files expose on Al Jazeera, I recommend you go watch it. The 3-part documentary explores how the Labour right undermined Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. Now, of course, we all knew this, whether you're a Labour member or you were outside looking in, or even you just read the Ford reports. However, Al Jazeera pulled no punches in doing real investigative journalism and still manages to shock those like me who knew much of the internal workings of the Labour Party and how they acted in the last 7 years. Now, the Labour right are the most destructive, corrupt political faction in modern politics. Their project has always been about consolidating their power on the party. They've always seen the party as theirs. They hate the idea of ordinary people joining and having their voices heard. I describe them as essentially a tight-knit bullying group who hate sharing power. Now, I have never known, in all political factions, in all political persuasions, even the Tories, to actively hate the idea that the party would have a large membership. Rachel Reeves not long ago quite literally celebrated the massively depressed size in membership numbers. The leadership of Jeremy Corbyn was always bigger than him. It was about a project in which encouraged large political participation, many for the first time. The problem for the Labour right is the more people, the more diverse ideas and politics. Now, that was a threat to their narrow, cult-like tribal way of operating. So as a scared animal, what often happens? Well, they lash out. This is where the Labour Files really gets quite juicy, and it's only the first episode. They expose some of the most horrific tactics from these thugs. Now, one of the highlights of the episode was activist Luke Stanger. Now, who is he? Well, he is close to Luke Akehurst, and I don't think any of us are surprised that this detestable person appeared in this documentary. Stanger was suspended in 2018 after harassing and abusing members. Stanger targeted many, including left-wing pro-Palestinian activist Damien McCarthy. This led to Damien receiving disgusting abuse, and his family were threatened with beheading. McCarthy and his family were sent statements threatening depraved and obscene acts against McCarthy's mother, even if she is dead, which I hope she is. Now, we don't really get the full picture of the comments as Damien understandably struggles to repeat them. And when Stanger received his suspension notice, he rebutted and said he did nothing wrong. He clearly did, but fine. But it turns out that Stanger himself didn't respond to his own suspension notice. Luke Akehurst, on behalf of Stanger, had pretended to be him. Now, Akehurst currently sits on the NEC. This behaviour not only should disqualify you from holding any elected positions, but you should be expelled from the party. Excusing harassment simply because they're on your side is not a party that takes abuse and bullying seriously. Yet this is what the Labour Party is. If you happen to agree with the Labour machine, happen to be close to them, anything is fair game. And so they did. They wanted to bully socialists and the left by any means necessary. This includes outright lies and fabrication. Now check out this clip from the Labour Files in which you can see a letter of complaint which included a completely made up story that was sent by a councillor in order to shut down a so-called pro-Corbyn CLP.
Stewart claims the note is evidence of a plot by Momentum.
How to take control of Labour Party meetings.
It's not the kind of note that I've ever seen anyone circulating seriously. This is a note caricaturing what the militant tendency was accused of doing in the 1980s.
A think tank from the right of the party publishes a review of a book about the militant tendency. It claims to describe militant strategy for taking over party meetings in the 1980s. The note from Councillor Stewart is copied directly from the book review. Tom Watson, Corbyn's deputy, but privately a critic, obtains Stewart's note. Watson then writes to Corbyn.
There is no denying that tightly organised factions are organising within Momentum and the party.
At the end of Watson's letter, he says,
I attach a document that I am reliably informed is being shared between Momentum members with links to far-left parties, which summarises the methods used by militant in the 1980s. I hope this note helps to dispel any remaining notion that entryism is a conspiracy theory.
Paul Stewart's note ends up in the national media.
Now, I've only given a couple of examples of the tactics from the Labour right, and of course, they go into all of the anti-Semitism allegations, and once again, it shows that ordinary members would be labelled anti-Semitic with no evidence. The fundamental issue is one of democracy. The Labour right are very powerful within the establishment. They have many close friends in the media, so when complete fabrications are made, as you saw in this clip, these stories make it to the media in which they are circulated and treated as absolute truth. No scrutiny, no evidence. It's just put out there to reinforce the lies about socialists. Now, the reason this happens is because the left are fair game when it comes to politics in this country. They're not seen as serious political actors, so attacking them, even if they're using lies and smears, well, that's perfectly fine. This is not a democratic country. Political factions shouldn't be able to act with impunity. Policies, ideas, and the direction of this country should be debated. They should be debated in public discourse, and may the ideas that convince the most win. But we don't have that. Now, this is just a short video on the first episode. The second comes out tomorrow night, and the third and final episode will show on Sunday. Now, I've come to the conclusion that I won't be voting Labour the next general election. Now, I know there's going to be many people saying, well, you're just a Tory enabler. But do you know what? There has to be some line when it comes to earning your votes. There are many members in the Labour Party who have no voice. There are many people who got expelled or aren't in the party who clearly have no voice in trying to transform the Labour Party. So are we expected just to take the Labour Party in its form? I don't think so. And I think if we say, look, we're not going to vote for you because we think you're detestable, then that will hold at least a little bit, hold the party to account. And I don't feel comfortable voting for a party that essentially endorses abuse, harassment and bullying. If you're someone in the Labour Party on the political right who's engaged in harassment, as we've seen, and you essentially got those in the Labour hierarchy probably covering it up, essentially giving you an easy rise and even overturning suspensions because they're your mates, that is de facto endorsing this kind of behaviour, and I won't stand for it. If it makes people angry that me and those of us on the left, socialists, does not want to vote for a party that endorses this kind of behaviour, that hates our politics, then so be it. I'm fine with that. Turn Left was created just over a year and a half ago, and it started on an iPhone. Now we have a fully fledged studio, but it came at a cost. Now we are appealing to you. In order for us to pay ourselves and to continue to make content just like our new show Normal Island, then please consider donating to our Patreon for just £3 per month. We also ask if you can share this video and subscribe so we can build a real media for socialism.